Okay, it is recording now. Thank you. Oh, who's that?
It's Carter.
Hi, Carter. Hey, Carter. All right, if anyone else has little friends and little children that are popping on, let's introduce them. So to recap from week 1, week 2, today's week 3 of the Growth Network, accountability to be built within, talking about how behavior equals 3 different elements. It's when these 3 elements combine at the same exact time. So again, it's motivation, which is the weakest link, ability, which it's basically how easy or difficult it is to do, and prompt. When those 3 things converge, then we have a behavior that takes place, whether it be good or bad. That equation equals behavior for everything, all human behavior. And it works well for animals as well when training, and children especially. So again, let's review the steps. So last week we brought our behavior aspiration. We all brought our behavior aspiration, a behavior that we aspire to have in our lives. I brought my own aspiration, which was to no longer have dishes building up in my sink. Then we explored the behavior options that support that behavior that we want to change. So it obviously, one thing leads to another. So if you have supporting behaviors that help this aspiration that you have, it's great to identify the best behaviors that support the aspiration. Number 3 is match with specific behaviors. So we talked about finding the best and easiest, and wherever that combination of a behavior works out. Like for me, with my dirty dishes issue, I found that linking it up to do a few at a time throughout the day was the better way to do it. To basically, number 4, start small, because I kept failing at that aspiration to wash the dishes as I was using them. So number 5 is to find a good prompt. So I'm very interested to hear how everyone else has been trying out their behavior that they're working towards, where they started small, what prompt they used. And then number 6, which is something that I've been struggling with a little bit, is celebrating the success of that small action to build to the behavior. So again, when we're trying to rewire our brain, we're trying to like hack our brain, feeling good is the quickest way to hack your brain. So there's so many reports and scientific journals that talk about how many days it takes to create a habit, or how many repetitions, or the muscle memory. And that all is accurate, but they're finding that the fastest way for you to actually change behavior is with feeling good. So that's why celebrating your small successes is probably the most important, because if you don't do that, if you're not connecting the actual synapses that are taking place in your brain, then you're just going to have that much harder of a time. Because again, our brain always goes to that default of remembering pain, or reverting back to comfort, or self-sabotaging, or trash talking ourselves. So it's a matter of rewiring that habit that we are just conditioned to have in our minds. So I'll just quickly review them again. Number 1 is clarifying the behavior aspiration. Number 2, explore the supportive behavior options. Number 3, match with specific behaviors. 4, start small. 5, find a good prompt. And 6, celebrate your successes. So I did notice today, I've been having to like write it down in the morning to remind myself to celebrate, because I am one of those people where I will fall into the negative mindset. I'm catching myself. So awareness is huge. I am so much more aware of it now. So obviously there is a change in the right direction. But I had someone call me today in the middle of me cleaning. I was on a clean freak moment, which is awesome. So I was a little bit like perturbed that I got a call, but I knew I wanted to take the call. And I'm just like, okay, you're just going to continue cleaning as you go. And I remember in the middle, as I was like sweeping up these pine needles from this wreath at my front door, I like smiled and I'm like, good job. You're still doing what you said you would do. And I by cleaning, but you also are taking on a call and being present. And it like, I remember feeling my cheeks. Like I remember just incorporating that pathway of change. And so I'm trying to be more aware of those moments where it's like, okay, I'm doing what I said I was going to do, and then feeling good about it, celebrating somehow. So again, celebration can be done with every sense. You could say something, you could feel something physically, you can do a dance, you can say something out loud, you can make a funny noise. So I think, and there's a few little ways to work around the successes or celebrating the successes. So if anyone else is having trouble, I've found with this method how to help yourself, because it feels weird, and for some people it's just like it's kind of you're almost like, okay, I'm not going to do that. Just nope, not me, not I'm good. So that's a form of us trash talking ourselves. Like we're not open to that difference of rewiring the brain. But again, that's the fastest way to create a habit, is feeling good, and feeling good comes from celebrating. So I don't know that I actually ended up muting everybody. So it's cool that everybody was not.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah,
Courtney?
please.
So
please.
one struggle for me with the celebrating is that my whole life celebrating has been about food in some way, shape, or form, even like the small celebrations, like grabbing a Snickers or something. So like any tips or tricks or anything around something like that, that if that's what we're used to, how do we break that, or any suggestions for replacements, or you know what I mean?
Yes, that's great. And I've thought about this too, because food is such an emotional feeling for the majority of us. So like I was thinking of it as really connecting when you are eating something healthy, or like on the clean side of a treat, uh, to really overemphasize the celebration, and try to do it like after each bite, because again, it is muscle memory. So and it is about like truly feeling it. You almost have to like, because it's going to feel forced. But when I'm eating these days, especially because I've worked so hard and not eating too fast, because that's been a problem that I've had for a long time. Many of you have probably seen my nerdy newsletter on 30 chews. So with my chewing slower, I am like checking in with every sense. So when I check in with each sense, like obviously taste. So I try to pick out 3 different flavors that I can, like salty, sweet, like crunchy, like all those different feelings and flavors. I try to connect with that so that I'm like, oh, they're sweet. Yeah. Oh, they're salty. Or, oh my gosh, I love this crunch. Or, something like that, where you're overemphasizing. And then a couple other senses, as far as like if it is something that you're eating with your hands, like when we eat with our hands, we are it's just a movement. It's not like we're not feeling the texture of the food. And like being present, like connecting with the gratitude and appreciation for like, especially with lately, I'm so grateful that I am able to like cut into a cucumber, grab it with my fingers. Like I've talked to people, there's some people on here that have an issue with grabbing, like it. So the ability to do those small things, like that creates so much awareness and happiness inside you for the abilities that you have. So, and then biting into a cucumber and just like how it just like encases your face with this freshness, like a cucumber. How basic is that? It's for a lot of people just the driver of dip into their mouth. Well, you can start to overemphasize like the goodness that you have for these very small things. But it brings me to another point. Like I do a lot of gratitude with people, with clients and friends. Like we talk about gratitude all the time, and a lot of people just say, well, I'm just grateful for everything. Well, the whole point of gratitude is to find those small things so that your brain is constantly searching for those small things. Because yeah, of course, I'm grateful for my house, for my roof, for my cat, my clothes, like, yeah. But it's like, I'm grateful for like buttons to close my shirt so I'm not exposed. Like go to that depth. That will bring in more awareness and like actual connection to the things that we have. Because I mean, yeah, gratitude and celebration and affirmations and visualization, it's all connected, because again, it's all about remembering how precious the life you have is, and who you're sharing it with, and your environment, and your ability to connect within and with those around you. So that's a very long answer, but I hope that helps with almost overemphasizing your celebration and your connection to the good foods, the cleaner forms, the healthier forms of food, versus like, not that we should shame ourselves when we're biting into a Taco Bell taco, or, opening a bag of Oreos. But yeah, of course it's gonna be like, man, Oreos, I haven't had this in forever. So there's going to be a celebration there, but I feel like there's going to be a deeper connection that we can overemphasize with those healthier foods. And a lot of it will be connected to what we've learned through the 30 days, which is gut health, mental health, skin health, and then the accomplishment of what you've been through. So like remembering and like patting yourself on the back for dedicating to creating a healthier, those healthier habits and eating those healthier foods. Does that help, Lindsay?
Yes, that was great. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome. Awesome. Anyone else have any issues with celebrating or feeling good, or any of those steps in the equation? No. Okay.
I missed last week, but I think just committing to a behavior I'm struggling with. And I had to step away for a second, so I think I missed the question, but there's just like so many things, like I can't pick.
Okay. So that's great, Valerie. Okay. So I don't remember if I gave you much time to watch last week's recording, but check that out.
I did.
Once you have time. But what I suggest, because when something, and the whole point is to break something down into smaller steps so that you can actually do whatever that small thing is every day. And that way it's your baseline. So even if like for me, if I wash 2 dishes, like I did it, like I accomplished it. I've continued that habit. So 2 dishes a day doesn't sound like much, but that way, even if I feel like complete shit and I have like 10 dishes in my sink and I get 2 done, I'd be like, all right, I did it. I stuck to what I said I was going to do. I stuck to that habit. And so breaking something down. So if and you're welcome to talk about a couple different things. And last week we broke down some different aspirations into smaller steps so that people could actually take some action. But also, I would start with an easier thing so that you start to feel good and start to feel that accomplishment, because man, I've got some massive aspirations. And if I tried to start breaking those down, I mean, that's great. Yeah, obviously I want to start small to be working towards that. But I think just to better rewire your brain that much quicker is to find something simple. Like Crystal last week, she talked about like taking her vitamins. Yeah. Like we all even I struggle sometimes, especially if I use a specific prompt to take my vitamins, which is my lunch, wherever that is. But if it's like I'm not at home or I am at home, it's a different prompt depending on my environment. So then I might want to choose like something else, and I can figure that out. But that prompts my body and my brain to be like, okay, now's the time to take your vitamins. So, did you want to share any like specifics that you were thinking?
Well, yeah, I can. So after the first meeting, I think I went for the big one of like healthy eating, and that might have been what we were talking about a second ago. But I think I extended my 30 days to 60, and like somehow I was fine without like something sweet during that time. So I think I knew it was temporary. But now I've like just fallen off, and I thought I could start with that one, and it worked a few times, like grabbing a vegetable instead of something sweet, but I couldn't make it last. And maybe I don't know what like something small is about that to start with, or maybe that was just too big of one to try.
No, this is great. This is great because this is a problem for everybody. Sugar is like, it's a recreational drug. So when it comes to sugar, or like, carbohydrates that are in the form of like something packaged in plastic, whether it be sweet or salty, because both have sugar in them. So when it comes to like those types of foods, it's more like motivation and willpower are going to die. They're just not going to hang out. They don't care about you in those moments. What takes over is stress. And so really redesigning your home and your environment so that those types of things aren't around. But I hear you, because like I have like semi-sweet dark chocolate chips in my fridge. And as you know, I'm on this very specific yeast killing diet. So I'm not supposed to have anything sweet. Well, let me tell you, there was a couple nights where I'm just like, I'm just going to have 5 of these. No, I'm going to make it 10. And then I was like, you know what? That's not serving me. Why am I doing that? Like, and then I just talked to myself, like, what's going on here? Are you just doing this because you can? Is there something else that is not like something else is imbalanced or something's bothering you? Like, it's all about like, connecting deeper within. So, but environment, that's a huge one when it comes down to sugar. And then, working on the 80-20 lifestyle where, say you've got like 4 meals per day, each with like a carb, a fat, and a protein. So that's like 12 options. So then make sure that 20% of that, so like 2 of your options per day are for like a treat, and the rest you're going to eat clean. So then that kind of gives you more of like structure, like, okay, I'm going to have 2 treats today, and then the rest I'm just gonna eat clean. Anybody else have any other like thoughts or options that have worked for you when it comes to sugar, sweets, carby, Cheetos and chips and things like that? Anybody else?
Well, I'm just bad and I can't have it in my house. I mean, that is just kind of what it comes down to until I get completely comfortable with portion control, which is a journey in and of itself. I just can't even have this stuff around. So, I mean, I found other ways to have treats with like using the Arbonne protein mix to make like a cookie dough type little dessert and things like that. So just alternatives, but it comes down to like me just not buying it and then like planning out what I'm having ahead of time so that I don't have to make an in the moment decision. Because if I have to make an in the moment decision, it's usually not the good one.
Totally. Yeah. And that's what a lot of the wellness people call a food emergency. When you get to that point, you're going to throw any kind of willpower out the window. But that's awesome, Lindsay, as far as like a cleaner alternative. And Valerie, there's tons of cleaner alternatives, which are number one, more expensive. So then you're just going to be more invested on like, and they come in smaller packages. So it's like, okay, if I eat the whole bag, it's like, okay, 2 servings instead of 7. So like, and I think that's on purpose. Like the wellness people are like, yeah, like we don't need to put 82 servings in this option for you, even if it does have organic cane sugar versus sucralose and aspartame and blah, blah, blah. So if you're looking for like alternatives to whatever sweet treat you like, then we can get you a recipe to make something quickly with like the Arbonne protein or some other natural, like there's one that I have really loved and it's kind of, I would say, earthy, crunchy, but like dates with like some peanut butter and then like pumpkin seeds, like that is a sweet treat. It's natural, but that might be a little bit of a stretch for some people that want something a little more like ho-ho kind of treat, but there are lots of cleaner alternatives. So you and I,
Courtney,
if you want, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. If I could add a little hint that helped me in during the 30 days, I observed what prompts the craving for the sweets.
Right.
I literally changed the route to work and from work because I was passing by Baskin Robbins. So I'm taking a different route. And also watching
Awesome.
TV. When I watch TV, I usually like to snack. So I tried to keep myself busy with something else during the time where I usually would just sit in front of TV. So I had to kind of break down what makes you crave the sweet. Are you upset, or are you celebrating, or are you tired? So maybe approaching those might help you. I mean, it did to me, but I absolutely love Courtney's idea of substituting. That's awesome. You still get that satisfaction for the sweet tooth, but at the same time, you don't have that guilt because you're eating something cleaner.
Yeah, great. Those are great points. Really great. So Valerie, does any of those suggestions strike like a feeling for you that makes you think a little bit more about when or why or how the cravings happening?
Yeah, I think I have a few ideas to start with. I can't like not buy things like because they're not like for me. my household doesn't support that, but
yeah.
But I think I can do things like put them out of my reach, like or so I can't see them, just somewhere where I just don't even look at it. And then giving myself a healthier snack to try to change what it is. And I remember when you told me that I could have like the almond flour cookies like in the 30 days. I think even before you finished that sentence, I was in line at the grocery store buying them. So maybe switching back to that.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's cool about the 30 days is like it could be used as like a re-jump start because life happens for all of us and we all we're never gonna be out of the grips of sugar. Like that's just the way our society and world has been developed. So we're all gonna have the feeling that you have at different times. I know I do. I mean, it's real for me right now. So I can totally relate. But I do know that for so many people, it's something else will help in different ways. So I think we've got a really good smorgasbord to work with at this point. And then you maybe like with what Marta said, like what's triggering you, and then like for your like whoever else is taking in these treats, I could always recommend like that cleaner option, and then you could see if that would be a swap for them. That way, if it's around, like, just something. But yeah, I think putting it out of sight is always helpful, and putting it out of reach. That way, I mean, are you going to get the ladder? Maybe you're going to grab it, but most of the time, maybe you won't. Okay. All right, good. How about anybody else?
Say
Come
something.
across. Oh, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Jerry. Yes.
Oh, just when I get a sweet craving, I'll grab a grapes. Fruit is naturally sweet.
Yeah.
Now, in a lot of instances, even strawberries with a little, I dip it in a little, what do you call it? It's not sugar. It's the
Maybe
stevia.
stevia. Yeah. Yeah. Great.
That just does it.
Yeah, that's
I'm
great.
not saying that it happens all the time, but it works when you have that
Yes.
sweet craving,
It's great. Yeah. And it's always like better to try that than go straight to the Oreos.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
I always have fresh
All
fruit
right.
on hand. Yeah. Just
Good.
for that
Yes.
reason.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I mean, when it comes to berries, yes, Lindsay, that's right. Progress over perfection. We will never be perfect, and that is perfect. We are perfectly imperfect, and life is about progression. Because if there is no progression, there's obviously we're headed in the wrong direction or we're dead. So that's pretty much the options. Okay. Anyone else? Any ideas on sweet treat differentiations and or any other small actions that were taken over the last week with any successes to talk about?
I just have a comment, Courtney. This is Kimberly.
Hey, Kim.
Hello.
Yes.
My video is not on because, it's past my bedtime.
Right.
So I just had a comment, like you were talking about the reward system. I think the biggest thing that helped me during my first 30 days was relating it to eating healthier, not necessarily a diet, but in the past, I never wanted to eat healthy because it's, well, I can only eat this or I need to eliminate this. And I think a big part of the 30 days is not focusing on what we can't eat, but what we can eat. Like I go to Festival Foods and there's like a whole aisle of organic foods and just healthy foods, gluten-free. I never walked down that aisle before the 30 days. And now it's like, ooh, I can try this. I've never had this. This is exciting. So instead of focusing on what we can't eat, what can we eat? How can we network as a group and what new foods can we make? It's exciting.
Yes, love that. That's so good because I agree that weird natural aisle.
Yeah.
There's like one or two. I know. That's like those are the only aisles that I hit for the most part that are within the aisles and the rest is on the perimeter. But those couple of natural aisles, I'm like, oh, what's the new snack on the what's the new brand? There's all these brands, these smaller companies that are coming out with a cleaner option. So Joe and I are always like, oh, did you see there's this brand? It's like a new, quinoa chip. And I'm like, get it, just buy it. Let's try it. So, but yes, that is such a great thought, is about focusing on the good. Because again, what feels good is going to help reframe, rewire the brain activity. So that perfect. Love it. All right. What else we got?
I found these coconut keto clusters.
Oh, yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's my sister, Michelle. Did you get those at Costco?
Of course.
Uh-huh. So yeah, that's dark chocolate, coconut. I think there's like pumpkin seeds, chia, flax, just like a little bomb of good fat.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the one that they have right now, it's keto clusters. So it's really low in sugar, and it has organic pecans, almonds, and pumpkin seeds, but it gives you just that little hint of sweet to get you through the afternoon.
That's
So
great.
I use it like my afternoon when I'm sitting through conference call after conference call, just a couple of nuggets, and then I'm done and I put it away.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's yeah. When I first did my 30 days, I made like my own little like trail mix with like different like seeds and nuts, and then dairy-free chocolate chips and dried cherries. And I mean, you don't have to, but I did measure everything, so it was the serving size, because you can go kind of nuts, sun nuts, like they're great fat, but we can totally overdo it. And I just had like little to-go bags, like little reusable like bags, that were full of those little snack mixes. And so I had them all ready for me, and I just grabbed one. And then I got in the habit of just grabbing my little tablespoon and zip, 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 throw it in, and just got into the routine of doing that. I don't really do that much anymore, but that's another thought or idea. Anyone else? These are all so good. Okay, how about small actions? So for those that were on last week, I think Marta and Lindsay are the recurring people. So Marta, did you have any luck with tackling your big one, which was procrastination, which a lot of us have that same feeling? Or I know the bank statements. Any progress?
Yes, there was a success. I have put all the bills together. So on one day, I will more or less on one day, I will have them. And actually, I put in my phone and calendar a reminder.
Nice.
So like 2 days before the date, a little reminder. So yeah, I'm like paid in full ahead of time. So yeah.
Great.
So let's see if that works. Just putting the reminders and marking the calendar. Actually, I have the old-fashioned paper calendar hanging on the wall of my bathroom, right next door to the mirror. So I cannot not see those things. So I'm planning to write down a little bit more as far as what I plan to do, and do a little check mark as I go. And I found it pretty satisfying when I can like cross out off my list. So yeah, hopefully it's gonna continue.
Well, and the best way to have it continue is celebrating it. So when you make that check mark, like make some kind of like dance or noise or in your head, or smile really big and really feel that accomplishment, because that will be your key, is feeling good. So awesome. Love to hear that. Good job. I can't, is Lindsay still on here?
Yep,
So.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
So mine was about taking action in my business. And so the 5 things that I had come up with were to schedule it, to set alarm reminders, to be prepared ahead of time. So like to have, I sell Pampered Chef. So just to make the picture complete for everybody who's watching, but so to
Yes.
prepare my list of like who I'm going to be contacting and what I'm going to be contacting them for ahead of time. And then to get an accountability partner. And I did get an accountability partner this week. So I joined a mastermind group that's a few other ladies that are with Pampered Chef. And so I'm excited about that. I have it on the calendar and I have the alarm set. So a few small actions. And then we had our first like power hour last night and it went really well. So I've been able to take the action now and it's been good so far. So
Good. And have you been celebrating?
You know, I haven't really. So that,
I know.
mean, I have to do that. I know it's like really silly, but no, of course, you know, like I guess I say like, oh yes, when I book a party, you know, it's like, okay, woohoo, got one, but not like consciously celebrating. So yeah.
Connecting it. Yeah.
Yep.
That's great. Good. Yeah. And I think as we meet weekly and we keep talking about it, it will help us. And again, building that awareness. And then, and so a couple of the little things that I'm going to do that I read in this method about how to get celebrating more into your life is to practice it. So literally like how we, practice playing an instrument or dribbling a basketball and making a basket. Like we are connecting our mind and our body and a celebration for the most part. So practicing like putting it in your calendar and then celebrating it, and then honestly deleting it, putting it back in, celebrating it, like practicing that 7 times. 7 times is the key. Another idea is to set your timer for 3 minutes and find the most cluttered area in your home. And for every single clean move you make, you celebrate for 3 minutes and like practice like, yes, like feeling it. Did it. Woo! Like something over exaggerated so that you're like amping yourself up and connecting your brain, those pathways and your body and the feeling inside. So you're like, okay, yeah, like that's how celebrating feels again. Okay, I haven't done that in a while. and then getting into that pattern of, yes, all right. And then once you've done that for 3 minutes, like you're going to do something else. And I have yet to do it. So maybe that could be the growth work. Everybody over this next week, set a timer for 3 minutes and find a cluttered spot in your home. And it could just be a cabinet, you know, I mean, we all have one of those trunk drawers that so find a cluttered spot. And every time you actually clean something, so you take it from one place and put it to another place that it belongs, or you wipe something off, like celebrate that every time. And try not to get annoyed with yourself, because obviously when you redo things like that, it can happen. Just get lost in the good part. Like, even if it takes a whole like 30 seconds, you're like, oh yeah, I did it. Like, get silly, because that's gonna actually change your brain. So that's the growth work for this week, because I didn't really make it clear on the growth work for this week, which was to practice the small actions. But I think that would be a cool thing to do. All right. Does anyone else want to talk about like a habit or a behavior aspiration that they have, something small or large that they need some help breaking down into small actions, and like how that would look?
Okay, I'll be the guinea pig.
Okay, Michelle.
I want to plan time for exercising. So
Okay.
I always want to exercise, but it becomes time and I'm like, oh, I'll get to it later, whatever. So can we like break that down I've tried to
Yes.
put it on the calendar, but then I'm like snooze, and I really need to pick some solid prompts that will help me take the next steps.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is great. Let's use our equation. So the behavior aspiration is making time to work out. Yes?
Yes.
And working out. How about that? Like not just making the time, but actually doing it. But we may want to start with making the time, because that might be where the ability is difficult. So if we're picking times where it doesn't seem to be working right, so let's come up with 5 supportive options for you working out. I know Lindsay has, she's probably going to have some really great thoughts on this, because she has incorporated a great routine walking with her dogs, and she really didn't have that routine before the 30 days. Is that right, Lindsay?
Yes, that is exactly right. And I think we kind of talked through something similar last week. And I feel like the main suggestion that I would have is to think about like what excites you about working out, I enjoy walking the dog. So it's something that I look forward to. So that when I get up, I'm not going, oh, I got to go to the gym. I'm just not a gym person. Or even running. We talked about how I need to change up my route and everything. And like, I hate running. So I'm not going to change my walk to running because I'm going to wake up and be like, oh my God, I don't want to go do it. So that would be my one big suggestion, is to kind of think through something like you're passionate about or you really enjoy doing that will excite you, that you'll be looking forward, to, well, I say getting up and doing it. So maybe that's my other suggestion is if I put it off to the afternoon, it doesn't happen. So for me, I just know that moving my body has to happen, in the first few hours that I'm awake.
So Michelle, you mentioned that you've hit snooze, and so that obviously didn't allow the walk. Are you thinking walking? Because that's what you and I've talked about. Is walking
Yeah.
still your thoughts?
Yeah,
Okay.
I need
So
to incorporate it again. Yeah.
Is there a time around lunchtime or right after work? I mean, I think after work can be tough for some people, but what are your thoughts about those windows?
I'm gonna try, or I'm going to set aside time at lunch, because now that I've been celebrating getting up in the morning on time, and taking a shower, I'm working from home, so you can just kind of get up and lounge over to your computer. I think I used to use lunch for shower time, so now I'll use it for my walk time.
Okay. And with breaking it down into small actions, do you wear shoes all the time when you're at home?
No, I put shoes on for my walk though.
Okay. So let's think about where your shoes are and how that could prompt you into maybe setting your shoes in a certain area, to prompt you to put them on to get ready to go. Do you bring water when you walk? I'm just trying to think of different things. So
no, but the one thing that will remind me or prompt me is to bring my shoes into my office instead of leaving them in my bedroom or at the door.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So shoes in a certain area. And then as far as a prompt, like what Lindsay did with putting it in her calendar, is there some kind of reminder or calendar prompt that you could set to help you with that?
Yeah, instead of putting it on my phone, I'll put it in my work calendar because those are the things that I have to do.
Okay.
So that will be a non-snooze moment.
Okay, great. Okay. So, and then let's start small. So let's work with, what do you think of a 10-minute walk?
10-minute walk. Start off with 3 days a week.
Or, yeah, if you feel that, like, because where are you now? Is that a big jump? Does that sound like a big jump, or does that sound doable?
No, that sounds very doable because
Okay.
when I had first started this, it was like 5 minutes twice a week. So 10 minutes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Thursday will work for me.
Okay. All right. And then how are you going to celebrate?
I'm going to dance around like a crazy person.
Great.
Because that's what motivates me to do more.
Great. So another thing about celebration is it has, just like we have to do that with animals and children, it has to be immediate.
Okay.
That's the only way that we're going to rewire our brain. It's that immediacy. So I know you and I've talked about, and I've done this with clients too, where they're gonna, at the end of 30 days, they're gonna get a pedicure. Well, those smaller celebrations we're missing out on, like really celebrating like every time we make that greater choice. So instead of, planning a pedicure or facial or a massage, I mean, by all means, schedule that. But like the smaller celebrations are really what's going to change the brain versus like treat yourself like out. So that's the difference. But yeah, okay, awesome. So crazy dancing.
Yep.
And I will join you in the crazy dance if you want to FaceTime me.
Okay, I can do
All right.
that.
Okay, cool. All right, so how does that feel? Does it feel like that's doable?
Yeah, and I guess what makes it more solid this time for me is that I'm writing it down. I'm not just thinking it through, I'm writing it down so that I have steps to follow later.
And the writing down process, the whole point of journaling or writing down our aspirations or writing down a to-do list versus texting or using our phone is that we actually are connecting musculature and brain matter to come forward to an action, where when we do those other types of note taking, which we're very prone to doing, there's just so much less brain activity. It's more autopilot because our fingers are just going where they're going. Where writing, there's like church music happening. Is anyone watching?
Oh my God, I'm sorry. It's the movie. So, I'm so sorry.
No, that's totally okay.
I'm in the hotel room with Wojtek, so we're sharing this space. He's watching a movie. I'm so sorry.
No.
Hold on.
No, it's totally good. It was pretty and light. But so yeah, so the art of writing really does create so much more depth within our brain and the wiring of our brain and our memory through muscle and thought. So that's really why journaling is so therapeutic for most people.
I think that's how my new tool, spelled TUL, has become like my right hand, because I'm writing everything down and it sticks for me better than typing it out.
Totally. Yeah, I can relate to that, because now that I sleep with my phone in the bathroom, I don't have it to jot down notes, and I'm writing, when I do my nightly journaling, I'm writing down things that I would normally set alerts for, and I remember them without being alerted, because it's just, my brain is going to those little tidbits that I threw out onto paper. So yeah, cool. It's great.
Awesome.
Love it. Okay, and then Michelle, don't forget that if there is something where you need to modify, like that's the whole point. It's about discovery and exploration. So for me, with the last week of washing my 2 dishes, I ended up realizing that I was washing. So my prompt was to wash my hands and then wash 2 dishes. Well, I realized I wash my hands more in the bathroom than I do in the kitchen. So then I found that every time I feed Moses, which is 3 times a day. So I was washing 2 dishes 3 times a day, and it was happening really well. Then I realized I was warming up my tea twice a day. So while my tea is warming, I'm just gonna wash a few dishes while that's happening. So I've been doing it multiple times a day. I have not been celebrating.
Oh, gotta
Yeah.
celebrate.
Gotta celebrate. So that's gonna be happening so much more. And I am going to, because I have many celebrations that I do, but I think we all need to, this is the second growth work assignment, like show up next week with your most favorite celebration move or sound or jive or whatever is happening within your body of celebrating. Okay. So the first growth work assignment was a 3-minute, I think it's called like, I can't remember what it was called in the method, but like a celebration, yeah, what do we call it? Just a blitz. That's what it's called, celebration blitz. 3-minute celebration blitz. And then bringing next week what your favorite celebration move is. Okay. All right. Anybody else got any behavior aspirations that we can break down into smaller actions? Okay, good. All right. Well, we've hit our hour mark, which is kind of what I was hoping this week that we would hit. And not go over. We went over last week, but it was awesome because we broke down so many aspirations into small actions. So right on. So anyone, please, if you have thoughts or like require some guidance that comes up throughout the week where you're like, you know what, I really would like to break this down and I'm just not sure how. I would love to be your resource. And we could always talk about it at the next group, however you feel comfortable. Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for coming on. I hope this was a delight in your mind, and don't forget to celebrate. Woo! Let's everybody celebrate that you came on and you invested in yourself for this last hour. Woo! Shoot 'em a Gavin. That's one of my moves. Shoot it. From I forget what Happy Gilmore or something.
Yeah.
Shoot him a Gavin. All right, great. Have a wonderful evening. You all are so awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Court.
Thanks, Court.
Thanks.
Thank you, Courtney.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.